things I love about the Vancouver Slam scene is that some of the finest nerd poems in North America are in this room. Seriously. So this is my nerd poem in honor of poets in Vancouver. I want to tell you about Jesus and Frodo. There are some among you who think you are Lord of the Rings nerds, and I simultaneously honor you and tell you that you are no nerd in my presence because I am the Lord of the Rings nerd, and I want to tell you about Jesus and Frodo. Baggins. Frodo Baggins, hero of Lord of the Rings, that Frodo, who came to us as a child, well, really at the age of 33, but in the lifespan and maturity of hobbits, barely an adolescent, a teenager really, hanging with his friends, boating the Brandywine and playing mushroom pranks on farmers. Frodo Baggins was never supposed to be a hero, never supposed to sacrifice his life for his people, for all people. I want to tell you about Frodo and Jesus, but mostly about Frodo, who watched as the heroes of his age backed away from him when he held a small golden shackle up to the firelight. I want to tell you about Frodo, who heard what was spoken in the silence of heroes and said into the abyss, "I will take the ring, although I do not know the way." You're wondering now whether I needed to look that line up when I wrote this, even while fearing rightly that I never really needed to, because really, I never needed to. Remember, this is about Frodo and Jesus, but mostly about Frodo, who never cried out, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Because on his journey, because Gandalf was busy and Elbereth never heard the cries of hobbits. But at least he did have Sam. There are some of you who are not nerds who still have a vague idea who Frodo is, but still may not know who Sam is, so I'll tell you that he was Frodo's friend, and his conscience, and his shield, and his sword, and the bearer of his burdens, and his gardener. But this is not about Sam. This is about Frodo and Jesus, but mostly about Frodo, who took the sins of Middle-earth, placed them on a chain around his neck, and walked across a wasteland to throw his soul into hell so he could save his people. I don't know if Jesus walked the earth or not. There are some things I do know. I know that Frodo taught me more about self-sacrifice than I ever learned from the preacher at South Miami Heights Baptist Church. I know that Frodo still lives in the undying land, healing from knife, sting, tooth, and a long burden. Yes, that's a quote. I know that across the gulf of fiction and adolescence where I stood, looking for a role model who was not muddled by scotch or self-loathing, Frodo saw me for all that I was and all that I could not, all that I was not, and showed me through his example what it meant to die so his people could live.